All right. So Bismillah, today is day one, where we're talking about happy despite the coronavirus. It's just one thought away, and it's possible for everyone, even you, to be able to navigate these challenging times in a positive way. So these 19 days of COVID-19 live video series is all about tackling the Islamic approach to tribulations, inshallah. So let's have a look at this virus for a start, because actually it's become something that is really that we're fearing, or that we're constantly thinking about. It's growing a life of its own. Yes, it certainly is, in terms of how it's progressing across the globe. But in terms of our emotional and psychological situation, it's grown a life of its own in our minds as well. And I would like to put it back into perspective from the beginning, that first of all, everything is Allah's creation. So even this virus is part of Allah's creation. It's not something random or haphazard, or something that there's no control over. There, like everything else that Allah created, there is a purpose in this. And it's up to us to find that purpose. And for each individual, it may well be something quite different. And it's already written how this is going to play out. Even before we were born, this virus was going to come. It's going to play out in the way that it does. So it's already written who's going to catch it. It's already written who's going to survive it and who isn't. And so us spending a lot of time thinking into that and worrying about it is taking up our mental space, right? And this is in fact a test, just like every other test that we are given. Yes, it's a pretty global test, and yes, it's a test that it's got the whole world population on edge. And we don't have tests like that very often. But all the time throughout our life, we're always being tested. And this, at an individual level, is just another test. And so we are stepping into the unknown. We're stepping into, I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. Our governments change their minds every day what tomorrow will look like. And things are changing rapidly. The numbers are changing rapidly. The reality is, though, every single day we're stepping into the unknown. That hasn't changed. We're still living our life in this dunya exactly how we were before this virus came along. There's just something going on for us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that we need to understand, that will help us navigate this with confidence, with calm, with clarity, inshallah. So how do we do that? How do we step into the unknown and navigate things from this calm perspective, not getting freaked out? So that's what I want to talk to you about today in being happy despite the corona. And one of the important things is for us to understand where our feelings come from. I'm going to introduce that to you today. And then each of the videos over the 19 days are going to get deeper into it and tackle it from different perspectives. So it's going to be really awesome if you actually follow right through the whole series of videos, inshallah, each day. And each day, hopefully we won't go so long. So it's going to leave you with something that your mind will mull over, and it will make a difference, inshallah. So where do feelings come from? When we understand this, the coronavirus doesn't need to go away for you to be okay. The reality is, in fact, you are already okay. It's just that You can't see it at the moment because of what's going on. When you think about it differently, your experience of it will be different. And the reason for that is because our feelings come from our thought in the moment and not what's happening around us. Feelings are always coming from our thought in the moment. This is the key piece of the puzzle. We're always living in our thinking in the moment. And it's not what's happening around us that is causing us to feel the way we feel. Because if it was, then everybody would be experiencing the same feelings and having the same kind of reactions. And that's certainly not the case, is it? We're all experiencing this through our own thought in the moment. And so that means we're all experiencing it in our own ways. So we are all okay. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already taught us in chapter 2, 286, one of my favorite verses in the Quran, Allah will not burden us beyond what we can bear. So if we truly believe that the Quran is the word of Allah, which of course is essential as Muslims, right? Then we need to believe this verse as well, that He will never burden us with more than we can bear. So that means that whatever is happening now, we can bear it. And whatever is going to happen, we can bear it. Allah will stretch all of us in this test as much as we can bear. So for some it will be more than others, because some will be able to bear more than others. So this test will be experienced by everybody in their own different ways. And you know what? That is something to stop and be in awe of Allah. Of how many billions do we have? 7, 9, whatever, 7, 6? I don't know how many billion people we have on this earth. And right now, every single person is being tested and stretched to the extent that it's making it, you know, tougher for them, making it challenging for them, but not too much for them to bear. And that's going to be different for every single individual. Can you imagine how that's just so awe-inspiring to think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do that, can orchestrate that, subhanallah. And it's when we're stretched that we really find our resources, that we really find the creativity in us, where we can really find the shifts that come in our life, the really profound ones often, subhanallah. So if we don't feel like we can bear it, it's only the way we're thinking about it that is the problem. The coronavirus itself isn't the problem. It's the way we're thinking about it that is causing us the problem. Because we are okay. And whatever is happening to us, we can bear it. And along the way, some of us in our tests may lose loved ones. And we already know that someone who dies from the plague can die a martyr and have a golden ticket to Jannah. You know what I mean about a golden ticket to Jannah? Meaning they don't have to be accountable. They get to go straight to Jannah. Now, you and I, we may not have that opportunity. We may have to account for every moment of this life and really be reliant upon Allah's mercy to whether we'll enter into Jannah, right? But for those that lose their lives through this, if they were on the path of believing in Allah, you know, if they were on the path of Tawheed, Surat al-Mustaqim, then inshallah they're getting a golden ticket. And you know what? Some of the people who go through losing someone with patience may also get a golden ticket, because we're taught that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those who are patient will not be taken to account. And that is a verse from the Quran. I was just trying to remember which verse it was. I can't see it I've got it up here on my board somewhere, but I can't see it right now, this moment. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that those who are patient will not come to account either. And so if we do lose a loved one and we're able to stay patient through that, inshallah, we could get a golden ticket to Jannah as well, meaning we could not necessarily have to be accountable on the Day of Judgment. We may get a ticket straight to Jannah. And then, of course, for the rest of us, we'll be rewarded for how we just show up through this. How are we going to navigate this time? Because it's a very different time, especially with Ramadan coming, and we're going to talk about Ramadan in the 19 days. In fact, we're going to talk about Ramadan from the perspective of looking at Ramadan rituals and what new rituals we can create to replace the fact that our normal rituals are not going to be possible, inshallah. And that's what it's about, being creative, subhanallah. So how we show up is important, and how we show up is very dependent upon our emotional and spiritual well-being. So what will the future look like? This tends to be where a lot of the concerns come from. And we know Islamically, we don't know what the future holds. That's part of the ghaib, it's part of the unseen. And it's pretty scary stepping into that unknown future. It's unknown except to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's going to happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already has this. And that in itself is a comfort. To remember that, this isn't random, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is going to happen. So the future, the coronavirus future, is unknown. But do you know what? Our future was unknown before the virus as well. It's just we didn't think about it so much, did we? We were busy about our day doing what we were doing, but still our future was unknown. We could have contracted some type of contagious virus and got pneumonia and got really sick even before this pandemic. We could have lost our lives in so many different ways. There's more people dying of hunger globally, car accidents, deaths through conditions from smoking. There's so many ways in which life is lost. And all of that was true even before the coronavirus. It's just that we weren't thinking about it like that. We weren't realizing that. And we weren't thinking about it so much, so we weren't in this state of fear and panic about it, subhanAllah. We were just getting on with our lives, which is exactly what we're meant to be doing now as well, because the future is in Allah's hands, not our hands. So it's only the overload of information, the thoughts, the theories in our heads that has us worrying about it now. And you know what? I used to be following the numbers. I was very interested in the numbers at the beginning, watching the statistics, watching the growth. And then it started to really escalate because it's a fairly exponential curve, if you know anything about graphs. And so the numbers suddenly shoot up. And about that time, I decided to stop looking at the numbers, because it doesn't serve me well to load up my mind with all of the theories and all of the numbers and then be constantly worrying about it, because that's just going to prevent me showing up in this moment, doing what I'm meant to be doing for the sake of Allah. And so all I do is once a day check what our government updates are in terms of what we're meant to be doing. And I keep on with my daily life. Yes, it's a slightly different daily life to the one that I had before. And of course, having kids home and getting a bit of cabin fever with each other. And we will talk about living on top of each other as one of our topics during the 19 days as well. So that is different, having the kids home. But again, it wasn't that long ago we finished our summer holidays and I had them home for 6 weeks. So again, it's just about a new routine, a new way of working, inshallah. So what's happening when we take on all this information is we're creating a picture in our head, and then we're freaking out about it. And it's really no different to if we even just painted a picture of a monster and then we looked at it and we were scared of it, because that picture that is in our head is coming from our own thought in the moment. And that thought, that picture is our own creation. It's not necessarily how it will pan out. Maybe some of the way we've thought about it, it might, but only Allah knows that. And dwelling on it is means that we're missing out on living in today. Allah is the all-wise. He is our protector and our sustainer. And it's really important for us to remember that right now. Allah is the all-wise. That means He understands what's going on, and He knows what each and every one of us is capable of. He has that wisdom. He's our protector and our sustainer. So, you know what? We're down to the last roll of toilet paper here. And there are 6 people living here. So every time I've been to the supermarket for the last week or so, there's never been a roll of toilet paper anywhere. I'm not freaking out about it, because Allah is the provider. He is our protector. He's our sustainer. And whatever I need, He will provide. And if we have to stretch ourselves a little, then we'll stretch ourselves a little. But I'm not freaking out about it or worrying about it. I just keep my eyes open every time I have to go to the shops to see if they have any. I might get to the point I have to ask them to save me some or do something different, but I'm not going to freak out about it until that happens. I know this is just toilet paper. It's a small thing, but it seems to be something that everybody's got so excited about. So that's why I'm using it as an example, subhanAllah. So Allah is sufficient for us. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for us. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he had to step into the fire, said the words, Allah is sufficient for us, and Allah called the fire for him. That's enough of a reminder for us, isn't it? That Allah is sufficient for us. We're not stepping into a fire. For most of us, the worst this is going to be is that we'll get a bit sick and tired of being stuck in our homes. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and your loved ones from catching it and from wanting to throttle each other, from being under each other's feet. But I hope these videos each day will help you with that mental stability in your home, inshallah. So what gets in the way of our happiness in this time? It's worry, stress, fear, anxiety. It's thinking. It's worried thinking, stressful thinking, fearful thinking, anxious thinking. It's the only thing that's getting in the way. Your natural state is to be happy. So when you have those feelings, it's preventing you from having that beautiful connection with Allah, because it's that beautiful connection with Allah that is going to bring the peace inside us and remind us, you know, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got this. Having access to wisdom on what you are meant to be doing right now, it's through that connection with Allah. Because if we're to try and find all the answers in our own intellectual thinking, then we're very limited in what we're going to be able to figure out. But if we have a beautiful connection with Allah, then we have access to all His wisdom and how He is guiding us in any given moment, inshallah. And so we have that opportunity to have creative thinking and new opportunities on how to experience this. And that doesn't mean you've got all the answers straight away. I don't have all the answers straight away. You know, my kids have spent way too much time the last couple of days on devices while I was figuring things out. And I thought, well, that's okay. That's okay for a couple of days while I figure it out. But now it's time, you know, for us to start doing some other things. There's some amazing people who are doing exercises for kids, half an hour every day on a YouTube channel, so we can all get together. Maybe I'll benefit from a bit of moving around and stretching as well for half an hour. Then, you know, there's so many different ways in which we can turn our homes into an environment of learning and fun. And I'm going to talk about being a fun mum as well. That's another one of the videos that we're going to have over these next 19 days, because that's going to be really important that you keep your sense of humor. And then, you know, with that beautiful connection with Allah, when all our thinking falls away, we actually get to see the massive blessings in all of this. I have had so many beautiful insights and seen so many blessings that have come out of this. And inshallah, over these videos, some of those insights and what I've discovered will come out, and I'll share them with you. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but just having this opportunity to slow down and reflect and take stock is a massive blessing, because life has been going so fast. And with all of the events cancelled and all of those commitments cancelled and everything coming to online, which was where, you know, I've been doing work anyway, it's really simplified my life. And that is such a blessing, because now I'm looking at all the things I was doing and thinking, is there a better way of doing it so I can keep this simplicity in my life? Because it's certainly a much calmer place to be, and I can stay in my wisdom much better when I'm not in crazy land of, you know, the time passing us so fast. SubhanAllah. Maybe for you, time is passing too slow now when we're stuck in our homes. SubhanAllah. So this is what I want you to do. What I'm teaching you isn't about doing stuff. And eventually when you see it, there won't be anything to do to feel the way I feel, which is very calm and pretty chill about it all. You know, alhamdulillah. That doesn't mean I'm being reckless or negligent. I'm certainly following what is required of us to protect ourselves and to protect others, because that is a responsibility of ours, right? But I don't need to do it in a panicky way. But in the meantime, until you have that understanding, there's a few things I want you to do. And the first one is breathe. Don't forget to breathe. When we start to get anxious or stressed, our breathing becomes rapid and shallow. And if you feel yourself coming into an anxiety or panic attack, I just want you to remember that you're okay. And I want you to focus on breathing out. The reason I say that is because in those anxious stress moments, sometimes our body can get a little confused and it feels like we can't breathe because we can't breathe in. And what's actually happening is, in fact, our lungs are already full of air and we need to breathe out first. And if we focus on the breathing out, the breathing in happens naturally because we're designed to naturally breathe back in again. And we're not focused on the breathing in, so therefore we're not stressing about whether that's labored or not. We're focusing on the breathing out. So just remember, you know, feelings come from thought in the moment. If you're thinking about the fact that it's hard to breathe in, what are the thoughts going to be? They're going to be more anxious and panicky thoughts, leading you to more stressful contractions of your muscles in your body. If you can't breathe in anyway because your lungs are full, then it's going to get really panicky. So breathing out, focusing on the outward breathing, then the mind relaxes, the muscles relax, and the breathing becomes easier again, inshallah. shaking is wonderful for releasing tension in the body, because when we're emotionally stressed, we become physically stressed too. So having a good shake, shaking your hands, shake your arms. I'm doing it right now. You can probably hear it in my voice because I love shaking. You just feel so relaxed. Shake your shoulders, wiggle the upper body, shake your legs, shake all over. It just really relaxes all the muscles. Don't need to do it so rigorously that you lose the sensation in your hands. Just do it till you feel nice and chill, nice and calm, inshallah. And then make dua to Allah. He's in charge, right? It's all in Allah's hands how this is going to pan out. Never stop making dua to Allah. The blessings, the absolute miracles of the way in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has answered my dua over time, I can't even begin to have enough time to share with you how powerful dua has been for me and how Allah has answered my duas and looked after me. He is sufficient for us. So turn to Him. And then I want you to check in with yourself and ask, what does Allah expect of me right now? Not what do I expect of myself? What does everyone else expect of me? Because that's where all the shoulds come in and all the panicky, crazy thinking comes in, and we get critical of ourselves and down on ourselves. What does Allah expect of me right now? So if there is an adhan going on in the background, what does Allah expect of you in that moment? To pray. Go and do wudu and pray, right? If a baby is crying, what is Allah expecting of you in that moment? Go and see what's happening with the baby. If everyone's hungry, it's about cooking food. If there's nobody around you needing you and it's not prayer time, then it's like, what does Allah expect of me right now? That's, something that is good for me, good for my family, good for my deen. It makes it so much simpler, right? And then focus just on that in that moment. And then in the next moment, again, what am I meant to be doing right now to please Allah? Moment by moment. Because moment by moment it will change. Like right now, I'm meant to be here teaching this to you. When I went to the kitchen just before we started, I discovered that the dishes had piled up. There's another wonderful advantage of having everyone at home, is that there's a constant flow of dishes. Doesn't matter how many times the sink is cleared, it keeps filling up, right? But now's not my time to be doing dishes, and it's not my time to worry about doing dishes. They're sitting there. They'll still be there when I finished here. Now is my time to be talking to you. And so I'm 100% focused on talking to you. Once I get off here, I have a couple of meetings. So I'm not even going to get to those dishes probably for a while yet. That's okay. I'm sure a few more will accumulate between now and the time that I get to them. Or maybe I'll get somebody else to do them. But again, that's going to take effort on my part, because I'm sure we all have the same problem of everybody being so excited about doing dishes, right? So it's from one moment to the next. Simplify your life down to, what am I meant to be doing right now? And then just focus on that. Because remember, feelings come from thought in the moment. So if we're just focusing on what we need to be doing right now to please Allah, we're going to be in a much calmer state. Why? Because nothing else matters except right now. And in the remembrance of Allah, the hearts find rest. This is where the true peace in our heart comes from, remembering Allah. And if we're from one moment to the next asking ourselves, what am I meant to be doing to please Allah right now? Then we're going to be in a state of rest, because we are in a place of remembering Allah in any given moment. So last thing I want you to do before we go is invite others to join us. We have 18 more days. This was day 1. 18 more days, amazing topics like tawakkul, how to get creative thinking going, Ramadan rituals, how to cope in close proximity, how to cope being away from loved ones, so many different topics. And I'm going to be active in the group, in this group with you. So make sure you're commenting on the videos, sharing your takeaways, asking your questions, reaching out for help if you need it. But make sure you share this with everybody. 19 days cov19.com. Well, anyway, the link is there in front of you. Invite everybody to join us. Share the khair every single day, something like we've just been through right now, to help everybody have strong iman, tawakkul, and most of all, that emotional and spiritual resilience we need to show up in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects us during these tribulations, during these trialing times. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.